I'm going to go over Chapter 19, a very important chapter about warranties, product liability, and consumer protection law. It's a very important chapter. I believe I test independent of all the chapters on one of the module exams. It's just on Chapter 19. I think it's a pretty understandable chapter, but there's a lot in there. There's a lot of material in there, and it's important for you to understand it not only for business law, but just as a citizen. It's really critical information about this concept that when you enter into a contract, you don't always necessarily have a right to return the product unless it's on a sale or return or on a sale by approval. We talked about that previously. Many stores you can return goods within 30 days provided not damaged or used because you just decided you don't want them. That's a beautiful consumer contractual right that many stores or merchants provide for consumers. That's not always true, though. Many times a merchant might say, all sales final. That's it. You bought it. It's over. Our sales consummated. We're done. Never going back. I think it's a Chapter 13. It's over. Both parties have tendered performance. It's done. But one of the ways in which you can undo a contract, we talk about things like duress or fraud, undue influence, mutual mistake of fact. This is a little bit different. This is where the product, it usually relates to goods, does not live up to promised expectations. Warranties are just that, an assurance, a promise that the goods will perform for a certain duration or in a certain fashion. And if it doesn't do that, it's a breach of warranty, and you have a right to return the product to either be repaired or have your money returned, depending on the circumstances. And we'll get to that in a minute. To be real straightforward, what's an express warranty? That's an overt promise that the goods will perform to a factual, measurable standard. Be careful here distinguishing between that and puffery or mere sales talk, which I'll talk about in a second. But what do I mean by a factual expectation? I think of the subway controversy that was around maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Some areas, they would have a 12-foot sub for, I think back then, $5. My kids eat a lot of Subway, or used to eat a lot of Subway, and I remember the commercial, foot long for $5 was sort of the lingo, or the jingle, if you will, for the store. And somebody was measuring them after they get them, and they were coming out about 11 inches. And somebody says, wait a minute, you said it was a foot long. Is that a warranty? Yes, it is. It's a factually objective standard by which measurement can occur. So if someone says they're giving you a pound of something and it weighs less than a pound, they breach the warranty. It has to have that kind of clarity. It can't be about opinion or expectations, like you're going to love this car, or these shoes are going to make you happier than you ever been before walking down the street. That's opinion. That's puffery. That's never going to be subject to a lawsuit unless the seller is lying about that opinion. How do you prove their subjective lie? Hey, I know these shoes are really awful, or I know this car is not really great. That's going to be difficult. But if you could prove that they don't really hold that belief and it's contrary to their true belief, then it's fraud. That's going to be very, very difficult. So what is a warranty? An assurance that goods or services actually are going to perform in a certain fashion that's objectively measurable in some way. I think of I had a Prius at one time. I used to always use it as an example. The Prius would be warranted to give certain amount of mileage, for example, in the city, and a certain amount of mileage on the highway. If it didn't do that, that would be a breach of warranty. But what if the salesperson says, you're not going to find a finer vehicle than a Prius? Well, that's puffery. That's not something that's actionable. It's just not going to be subject to warranty actions. So things of that nature, factual expectations that a seller promises you is a express warranty. Those are obvious. Like I've had one in a car, the transmission, the drivetrain, I think it was 100,000 miles. If anything goes wrong, the manufacturer will repair, right? That's an express warranty. And actually, my car, I remember it just went over I think mine actually was 75,000 miles, not my Prius, a different car I had. And sure enough, literally, when I was in the 76,000th mile, I had a problem with, I don't know what it was, a transmission or something was going on it. And it wasn't covered by the warranty, and I had to pay. And so sometimes you can also buy extended warranties. I don't always know if they're a value. I know when I check out now at stores, whenever I buy anything, it seems they say, would you like to purchase an extended warranty? And that's just it. If the goods don't live as long as they said they would, then you have an action because of the warranty was part of the basis of the bargain. It makes common sense. Now, That's the obvious part of the chapter. What's not so obvious are the implied warranties. A lot of times they don't overtly say this product's going to live up to this expectation or last this long. What we have to do is determine whether the implied warranties, and that's really the heart and soul of the chapter, and you get tested on a lot for the implied warranties. But again, distinguishing seller's opinion from factual representations about how goods will last or perform are very different. They give some examples in the book, like this is the best on the market will buy. Experts have estimated that you'll be able to sell 1,000 of these a month in the market because they're in high demand. Those are things that are not reasonably expected to induce the buyer to believe they're part of the basis of the bargain. And I got to admit, sometimes there's a gradient scale. Is it really a factually measurable kind of promise, or is it something that is mere puffery and not really believed by the buyer to be a factual truth such that you should be able to sue over it? So seller's opinion generally are not actionable, with one exception we'll get to it in a second. If sometimes the seller has certain expertise knowledge and the seller knows they have that expertise knowledge and they advertise they do, like say they're selling me a certain product and I know nothing about the product and I let them know I'm ignorant, and they tell me certain things about the product based upon their expertise because they are experts in that area, then their opinion might be actionable because it's expected I'm going to rely upon that. It's related to that promissory estoppel concept from the earlier chapters. In defective goods, that's the whole purpose of the chapter, I think, more than anything else. It could be also defective services. But think about defective goods. I'm thinking about this coffee cup. My wife just bought it. It says, home is where your dog is. Because I have a dog that lays next to me all the time or follows me around everywhere. Well, what if I picked up the cup and the handle just fell off? We just bought it just like a week ago. Now, there might not be any express warranty, but was some warranty implied? Yes, and we'll get to that in a second. And if it's a defective good, that's what we argue, that the defect became apparent so reasonably close to the consummation of the sale that it clearly violated the implicit warranty that it would function as a reasonable coffee mug would for a certain period of time. Now, I tend to use this mug a lot. I kind of like it. My dog seems to like it. I use it a lot. And what if I know 2-3 years from now it goes through the dishwasher a lot, I'm banging it around a lot, I'm using the heck out of it, and 3 years from now the handle falls off. Would I have then a breach of an implied warranty that it failed to function as a reasonable product would over that duration? I think 3 years after heavy use is a long period of time, and I don't think I'd be successful on a breach of warranty. I don't think mugs are supposed to last forever. And that's the debate we get into, is how long does an implied warranty last? Might as well talk about the specific ones. Let's go through them. Warranties that all sellers make. This is a casual seller at a tag sale or a merchant that sells in the regular course of business, because there's a distinction between the two with some of the warranties. But all sellers give this warranty. First one's warranty of title. You go to somebody and you buy a bicycle from them, you expect them to have title to the goods. They're not lying about the fact that they have the power and the ability to transfer title. They're the true owner of the goods or have a right to sell the goods on behalf of somebody else, like a consignment sale. So everybody sells that. So my point is, I buy a bicycle from somebody, I'm using it for a while, I go to a bike race or something, and someone looks at the bike and goes, geez, that looks like my old Bianca bike or something from back in the day. And they look at it and goes, that looks awful. Boy, it even has that scratch I had. For whatever goofy reason, they had the serial number with them, and they can actually determine that was the bike that was stolen from my garage like 7 years ago. Geez, I said I bought it from this guy at a flea market. And would that true owner be able to take away title from me? It probably would, because it wasn't a sale by entrustee. It wasn't from a used bike shop. It was at a flea market, right? Remember that consignment sale or sale by entrustee we talked about before? It's just a casual seller. They could get the bike back from me, but what could I do? I could go sue the seller for breach of the warranty of title. Every seller of goods, whether casual or a merchant, warrants that they have the power to transfer title. It's pretty straightforward. Warranty against encumbrances, that's kind of related. Say I go buy a motorcycle from you, not the kind I'm going to ride on the street, but one that's just designed to go on tracks and stuff like that. So I'm not going to have a document that I need to register at the registry of motor vehicles. I buy it from you. I know a motorcycle is a bad example because I usually have a title document, but let's assume it's not. Let's assume it's a bicycle again. Let's go back to the bicycle example. I buy a bicycle against you, but you bought it on credit from the store, and the store said, okay, I'll sell you this $2,000 road bicycle, and you'll put down $200, and we'll have an $1,800 security interest in the bicycle, meaning that if you don't pay over a certain time, we can repossess the bicycle. And I know that's not that uncommon in bicycles, but believe it or not, merchants and sellers of goods can sell things and put liens on property, not only real estate and cars and motorcycles and boats, but they can actually do it on personal items of property as well. The business industry, I had a case one time where a guy bought a pizza shop, and he bought it with the ovens and all the fixtures in there. He was all happy. I didn't have anything to do with the transaction at this point. I should have. I wish I had, because I probably would have caught it. And all of a sudden, somebody came in from a company that had sold the previous owner the 2 ovens and say, hey, there's still like 10 grand out on these 2 ovens. I'm going to try to repossess them if you don't pay. And the new owner says, no, I bought them from, the last owner. I bought them free and clear. Now, the company could actually have the power to go back and repossess that. But why can't they? Or no, they can. They could repossess it. But what would my rights be? My right would be to go from the seller and say, you breached the warranty, the implicit warranty that there were no encumbrances on those goods, and I would get free and clear title. The next one, warranty of merchantability for fitness for normal use. That's the big one. That's the biggest one. You go buy, this happened to me, bought a washing machine, although it did have a explicit warranty, and that's what I actually got covered on. But say there was no warranty, I buy a washing machine from a store, brand new, from a merchant. What do I expect the washing machine to do? I expect it to work, maybe not forever, right? But for a period of time, I expect it to work and function well. What if I'm using it for a week? I don't abuse it. I don't put like horse blankets into it or anything like that. I'm just using normal loads of clothes. I'm following the instructions. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And the spindle breaks. If that happens, what we do there is we can sue for breach of what we call merchantability or merchantability. Merchantability means it's supposed to function as it should. It shouldn't be perfect necessarily, but it should function. So the thing doesn't work at all. I have a right to sue. I think if it's within a week, and if they say, oh, but it was sold as is. Yeah, but careful. If they said sold as is, that is actually a waiver of the warranty of merchantability. I shouldn't have said that. So if it's not sold as is, but it's simply sold, there's no warranty. It's silent. There's no written express warranty. They're just silent as to any promise about expectation of how that washing machine will work. What do we know implicitly? It should work reasonably well for what the intended purpose was. If it doesn't, it breached that warranty. And usually it depends on how long it lasted before it became defective, or did it work at all in the appropriate way. Again, it's not about perfection. I used to paint for a living with a buddy of mine. He was a lack of a better word, a real painter when I was a kid, and he trained me. And occasionally I would buy paintbrushes myself as I was getting more into the trade. And if I bought I remember one time buying very cheap paintbrushes, and the very first day I was using them, the bristles actually were pulling right out of the brush. As I'm stroking across doing the trim work in a home, some of the spires came out, and my buddy Stanley, my boss, although he knows nothing about warranty law, implicitly understood the consequence. Those brushes are defective. You should return them. And I did. And what's my argument? There's an implied warranty that they're going to be fit for the general purpose. Now, what if I was using it for some exceptional purpose? I was trying to apply some, like epoxy paint, and it wasn't recommended for that use. Then that's not applicable. So every seller, merchants, these are merchants only. This isn't the casual seller. What do casual sellers do? Casual sellers give you against warranty and title, warranty against encumbrances, and I missed this one, warranty against conformity, which I'll get to in a second. But warranty of fitness for the specific, I got to do this whole thing